At 3:17 in the morning, my cameras caught a green dump truck easing off County Road 43, coasting down my fire lane like it paid the mortgage. A compact loader stepped off the flatbed, bit deep into my dune, and in under an hour, they were gone with a belly full of pale sand. 2 days later, I stood at a ribbon cutting for Sunset Shore's brand new community beach, staring at my 5 tons laid out like a wedding cake, and their HOA president told me I owed them for never joining. Yeah, that happened. My ranch isn't just dirt to me. It's 20 years of stubbornness made visible. 240 acres of Texas scrub and light quartz sand. A freshwater pond I dug and lined with bentonite, and along the north edge a beach I'd been building for future grandkids. I hauled that sand slow, screened it, tested it, let it settle like whiskey. Then life blew sideways. Divorce attorneys' months of courtrooms and espresso bars, where the cups are too small for a man with work hands. The foreman quit in January. The cameras I meant to mount before winter stayed in their boxes. When spring steadied out, and I finally came home for real, I walked the west side of my dune and felt it before I saw it. The slope wasn't wind-cut, it was shaved. Deep dual-axle tracks didn't match anything I owned. I flew the drone and compared last year's map to what sat in front of me, then sent a sample to the lab in Houston to shut up that hopeful voice that still blamed weather. The numbers came back cold. Volume down almost 5 tons. You know what I mean when I say I felt it in my knees. That's not rain. That's somebody smiling in your face while their hand is in your pocket. They'd pegged me as the quiet type, an easy mark, and I guess for a minute there I was. But quiet doesn't mean compliant. I put up 3 trail cams that night, one tucked in scrub over the dune, one near the old cattle fence, one hidden inside an owl box on the power pole. Motion trigger. Night vision. Satellite upload. I didn't hang warnings. If you come to my house at 3 a.m., you don't get courtesy. 2 mornings later, I had them on video. Green truck, flatbed, compact loader, 3 men in neon vests. 2 masked one, smoking like my land was his ashtray. Same hour the next night. The third run, the driver backed too far, and the rear plate flashed under infrared. I froze the frame and wrote it down. Texas plate, registered to Coastal Aggregate, LLC. I knew that name from a bid sheet. They'd been working for a new HOA development 2 miles east called Sunset Shores. Their website bragged about a grand opening that Saturday. Glossy photos of a perfect crescent of bright sand along an artificial lagoon. My stomach dropped. That platinum white color with a soft blue tint when wet is not native here. I know because I paid for every shovel of it. I walked into their little party in ranch jeans and a hat pulled low. Kids were smearing sunscreen, while a guitarist tried to keep his hair out of his mouth. At the entrance display, posters bragged about sustainably sourced materials from local terrain, which made me laugh in a way that wasn't funny. In the middle of it all stood the president, Karen Rivera. White linen suit, sunglasses like a crown clipboard, clutched like a weapon. "Afternoon," I said. "You the one behind this beach?" "If you're a resident," she said. Without looking at me. "Wristbands are that way." "Not a resident," I said. "Just a man who owns most of what you're standing on." That made her meet my eyes. I held up my phone, still frame of the license plate clear as day, and my trail lane in the background. "This is your contractor, right?" "Coastal Aggregate. Their truck, their loader, my dune." She kept smiling, but it went from warm to showroom. "Sunset Shores enriches the community experience," she said. I'm sorry if you feel inconvenienced. Inconvenienced. You cut 5 tons out of my private dune at 3 a.m. and raked it into a beach. She crossed her arms. Perhaps if you had chosen to be part of the community instead of excluding yourself, we could have collaborated. You live within district boundaries. No, I said. Surveyed out. Never signed, never paid. You use the county road, she said, so you benefit from our infrastructure. That makes you part of the system. So now your logic says, my sand is your sand, because my tires touch asphalt. Technically, she tipped her sunglasses, natural resources are a shared community trust. If you wanted exclusive control, you should have filed an exclusion under the 2009 ordinance. I almost laughed. I've got footage maps and a mineral match. You'll hear from my lawyer. Then you should prepare your counter-arguments, she said, because refusing to participate does not make you immune from accountability. Monday morning, I dropped a hard drive and a thick folder on my attorney's desk. Dale Ryerson may look like a tired accountant, but he hates bullies, and he knows Texas property law like it's scripture. By Wednesday, we filed against Sunset Shores HOA Coastal Aggregate, and Karen personally, trespass theft of a natural resource misappropriation damages fees. We stapled down every proof we had. Time-stamped footage, GPS overlays, survey maps, mineral analysis. 48 hours later, their answer landed like a cheap plot twist. Not a denial, a countersuit. They claimed the dune was part of a transitional common zone language I've never seen in any zoning law, and they attached a scanned permission letter from 2 years back, allegedly signed by my ex-wife, granting selective environmental access to our land. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Dale sent it to a handwriting expert who came back fast. Forged. It didn't match any authenticated signature from our divorce, and the notary whose seal appeared on the page reported her stamp stolen 3 years ago. Meanwhile, the smear machine kicked on. Posts called me a hoarder. A radio host nicknamed me the Sand Scrooge. Someone dumped a kitty sandbox at my gate with a sign that read, "Bar." Dale told me to keep my head down and let the paper talk. We subpoenaed Coastal's work orders. They fought then a court order cracked it open. Their manifests matched my camera nights to the minute. Same tonnage, same driver initials. Payments didn't come from official HOA accounts, but from a side pool masquerading as a beautification fund. Money left that pool for South Shore Consulting Group, a shell with a UPS store address in Austin. The listed officer was a man named Ryan Collier. His name rang a bell from my ex-wife's financial disclosures. Monthly transfers labeled private investment consulting. When we pulled his email under subpoena, one subject line made my hands shake. Dune Resource Timeline. Inside was a spreadsheet that mapped projected extraction to the exact nights my cameras caught the trucks. And there it was, an email forwarded from my ex's account that read, "He'll be in Austin again next week. Load freely." You know that feeling when the room gets quiet and you can hear your own breath. That. We brought in a forensic accountant named Trudy. Boots with a suit, eyes like an eagle. She followed the stream for 5 years and found the pool emptying into an offshore trust in the Caymans called Riverlight Management. Beneficiaries, Karen Rivera, Ryan Collier, and my ex-wife, Catherine. A junior accountant in Ryan's office flipped and handed over a folder labeled HOA Beach Project with drone surveys. Internal memos and a note from Karen that read, "Once Travis is out of the picture, we can wrap the phase in 2 weeks." Out of the picture. Not just theft, erasure. The trial started on a Wednesday. Cameras outside a live stream inside, with a title like Community Transparency, as if rebranding could change the facts. Day 1, the jury watched my night footage. Trucks ghosting through brush, the loader's bucket chewing clean lines into a dune I'd built for the people I love. Day 2, the lab chemist laid my sand beside theirs and said, "These aren't similar. They're identical." Day 3, Trudy walked the jury through the money. HOA dues to side pool to shell company, shell to offshore trust. We put the forged letter on the screen, the handwriting expert explained. The tells the notary testified about the stolen seal, and the whistleblower read. Karen's "he's isolated" line out loud. The defense tried to blame the contractor, then the consultant, then the confusion of an infrastructure effort, then community benefit. Dale called a land use professor, who actually laughed, then apologized before saying, "There's no legal doctrine that lets you steal private resources because you think your neighborhood will look prettier." The judge cut it short. The jury took less than 3 hours. Guilty on civil conspiracy, fraudulent misappropriation, trespass, forgery, and willful destruction of private property. The orders were plain. Sunset Shores dissolved within 90 days, assets frozen, independent audit. The beach removed, and the shoreline restored under supervision. Coastal sanctioned. The IRS filed liens. The court awarded me $5,000, cost of sand legal fees, and what the judge called appropriate moral compensation. She also designated my acreage independent rural private land outside any HOA or petitionable easement within 2 miles. That may sound technical, but out here, it's a concrete wall. I rebuilt the dune with 5 new truckloads from the original source, graded at slow embedded ground pressure. Sensors ringed it with bright red stakes and hung a sign that says, "Smile. You're already on camera." On the south ridge, I put up a 20-foot tower with a solar panel and a long lens. And yeah, I named it Karen Watch. Maybe I went overboard. Maybe I finally slept. A local veterans group asked to use part of the ranch for weekend campouts. I said yes without blinking. Folks started writing in with their own fights. Solar panels, garden boxes, a swing the wrong shade of blue. News crews called. A podcast wanted resilience. I don't know about that word. I just know the difference between noise and facts. Karen's house went to auction. Ryan lost his license and his Jaguar. Catherine took a plea probation and a permanent ban from handling money community service, sorting other people's mess for a change. I drink coffee on the cedar deck and watch the breeze comb a dune that finally looks like it belongs to me again. So let me ask you something. Where do you stand on this line between community and control? Is an HOA's idea of order worth more than a person's right to keep what they built? Ever watch a rule book get used like a crowbar? Or do you think folks like me are the problem? Too independent, too prickly, too much? Drop your take in the comments. Tell me your worst HOA story, or the time you were underestimated and pushed anyway. You know what I mean. I read them, all of them. And if you're in a fight like this right now, keep your receipts. Breathe slow, and trust that the truth weighs more.